Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel. It's been a little bit of a quiet week. We haven't streamed for a week, but today we're finally back with another tactical preview. This time, Manchester United against Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League this weekend. It feels like a big game, but is it really? Because realistically, this is 13th in the table against 14th in the table, which isn't really what you would expect from these two sides. 30 points currently off the top of the league, Spurs. I don't think these two teams are really in a title race. However, it is still important that United try and win, that United try and make some progress, try and take some steps in the right direction. This is the longest period under Ruben Amorim that we have had without a game, which means, in theory, we should have had the most training that we could, the most training that we've had so far, which means we might see some progress. We might see some players in some different positions. Perhaps Amorim may have discovered something different about his squad. Currently, what we have on screen right now is the starting 11 from last weekend. Although, to be honest, I think we will see some changes. And in terms of the Spurs lineup, this is sort of my prediction, but again, it might be wrong. So that's the plan for today, basically, to go through the United team and figure out basically the best 11 to beat Spurs, but also players which Amorim may have learned more about in the past week or so, players that we want to see trialled in a new position perhaps, or someone different coming into the team. That is the plan for today. Before we get into any of that though, get yourselves down in the chat and let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know how you're doing and let me know how you're feeling, particularly about Manchester United. I think, personally, I feel really detached from the club right now. It's why the content has been a little bit quiet, because it all feels a bit stale. There's not a lot to talk about. But yeah, I felt slightly disconnected from the club. But let me know what you guys think in the chat. Who we got? We've got David, we've got Bobby the Bob, we've got Josh, we've got loads of people, to be fair. We've got Matt. Good morning to you all. Hope you guys are good. It's been a long week. It's been a really long week. But I hope you guys are good. We've also got David in the chat. I mean, of course we have, with the gifted membership. David, thank you very much, as always. Guys, you know what to do. Be like Matt and turn that chat green. David, thank you very much, as always. Greatly appreciated. We've also got Chad in here as well. Good morning, sir. How are you? They call him Antonio, and he's here to say he's the number one analyst any day. If we don't see Dorgu on the left, I will scream. Yeah. Might happen. I might do a video on it this weekend as well. You've been judging me for this for ages. Yeah, I understand. I finally understand. A United win would be a great birthday present. Is it your birthday today, or is it on Sunday? Regardless, happy birthday. Hope you have a great day, mate. Good morning, legends. Good morning, Simon. Hope you're well. Hope you all have had a good week. I haven't had a good day. Yesterday, I spent 12 hours in A&E. Oh, well, that does not sound like the best way to spend 12 hours. I hope you are good, my friend. Hope it's nothing serious, and whatever it is, I hope it gets sorted soon. But thank you, as always, for tuning into the stream. Will you put Mainu at cam? Well, to be honest, that's a conversation or a decision for me to make, but also for you guys to help with in the chat as well. I think there's a lot to figure out, because like I said right at the start, this is the longest training time we've had under Amorim. So there is a chance we see something that we're not expecting. For example, Kobe the other week played as an inside forward, sort of out of nowhere. We've also seen Mainu playing as a striker out of nowhere. So I wonder if we could see something like that this week. Maybe Amorim watches the players over the span of 9 days and has discovered something different. So perhaps there's a surprise to come up. Not sure. Apart from that, though, I think we can just get into this like we normally would. Sort of empty out the United 11, take all the players out, and then start putting them back in and figure out the strongest 11 for this weekend. If Dalot is left wing back again, bro, I might turn the TV off. Might be a good idea anyway, to be honest, because United are boring at the moment. But we're going to try and make Manchester United interesting as we go through this. So let's get all these guys off. Let's get all of these guys out of here. Bish, bash, bosh. I assume we can start with Onana in goal, right? I don't think we're going to change that. I think he's going to stay there. Back three is where straight away we need to talk about things. What do we need to talk about? Who could play there? Mazraoui could play in the back three. Diogo Dalot could play in the back three. Dorgu, maybe? Left side of the back three, possibly. We've got De Ligt, no Lisandro Martinez, unfortunately, Harry Maguire, Lenny Yoro. We've got a few options, to be fair. There's a few different players that could come into here. I feel that most of them are pretty strong as well. We've got Yoro, who could play both sides. De Ligt realistically can play anywhere. Mazraoui could play both sides. Dalot, you'd probably back to play both sides, to be fair. Lindelof, I believe, is closer and closer constantly to being involved in the team again. Kukonki? Probably not. Aiden Heaven? probably a little bit too early for him just yet. Johnny Evans, I don't think really comes into these conversations anymore. I think this game suits a duo of Ugarte and Collier in the pivot. We need physicality and more pace. Playing over the top ball can be the way to go unless we become freakishly good playing from the back. I think what we do get with this game is a rare occasion where realistically we've got almost free choice. Like, we're not trying to protect anyone because they've had 9 days off. Like, this team should be rested and good to go. Physically, we should be in a good place. So it does feel like the first time almost, like ever, really, that we don't need to pick an 11 where we're really trying to manage players. We can literally think, what is the best 11 to win this football match? And we don't get to do that very often. So it'll be interesting for Amorim, for example, if he has that in his mind and then goes for someone like Collier. That is a big statement in terms of putting trust in Collier, but also the physicality of the squad and things like that. Do you think we will look for a free striker in the summer? Hope it's not Vardy. I think we'll spend fairly big on a striker again in the summer. To be honest, I think we're going to keep doing it every summer until one of them works, is the impression that I get at the moment. Like the stream, guys. I mean, yeah, that seems like a good idea. If you could leave a like, that'd be amazing. Been here 10 seconds and he's already talking. Manu, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, I won't talk next time. We better turn up. That would be ideal. We need runners. This game screams pace. That is something we need to talk about. Because last time we played Spurs, it was in the Cup just before Christmas. And it was one of the weirdest matches of football I've ever watched. The goalkeepers had absolute howlers. And I actually felt that United were the better team that night by a distance. Bayindir had a really bad night in goal. I thought that we were the better team in that game. And what we used a lot, and I mean a lot in that match, was the overload on the far side with Dalot. If you guys remember, I haven't actually got the clips, but if you kind of cast your mind back, what we were doing all game was getting the ball in these areas here, sort of deep on the right, and just pinging the big switch over to Dalot. The problem was every time we got into this sort of position, he wasn't really the player to take someone on. He also wasn't really delivering with his left foot. So a lot of the moves sort of died. I think this side, though, is something that we need to try and exploit in this game. Pedro Porro is a good player, but he's not a great defender. He's not great, and particularly if you can 2v1 him, which, again, United did last time against Spurs, then I think we can get at them. I do think we can get at them. I think particularly if we try and move the ball quick. I'm all for keeping possession. I'm absolutely fine with that, managing the ball. But I think in moments we've got to recognise, okay, now let's go a little bit quicker. And I think, unless Spurs have adapted, which they may have done, but I think that will be the strategy to try and get at them quickly. Now, to counter that a little bit, in my opinion, Spurs do look tighter than what they did before. A couple of months ago, they were incredibly open. That's still not exactly watertight. They still concede goals and a lot of chances. But to me, they look a little bit more secure. A little bit more secure than what they did previously. But maybe that's just me who thinks that. In terms of their defence, it's still a little bit makeshift. Spence isn't a left-back. Archie Gray isn't a centre-back. Danzo is new to the club. Ben Davies could play in there for a bit more experience. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that. But regardless, it's not a strong backline, if we're being realistic. It's not. In midfield, I think they're quite good. I quite like Spurs' midfield. I think they're nice and physical, some technical quality in there as well. We could see Basuma come into the side as well. The front three, yeah, on paper, there's a lot of quality. It's just looking at how they gel. I think Kulusevski has been one of their best players this season. Tell is, of course, still settling into a new environment, although he did get his first goal the other day. And Son up top, not what he once was. He's a little bit off it. He's had a bit of a poor season, in my opinion. I've actually been really unimpressed by him for such a good player. It's a weird one. I think this will be... We said that the Cup game last time was a really weird game, one of the weirdest matches you'll ever watch. I wouldn't be surprised if this is another one a bit like that, because Spurs will give you chances where you could score 3 or 4 goals against them, but they will also create enough chances to score 3 or 4 in a match, and we know that we're still not the best team defensively. I don't think this is going to be one of those ones where we sit deep and transition. I think this could be literally any score. Like, if you told me right now that United win 3-0, I'd believe you. If you told me that Spurs win 3-0, I'd believe you, or a 2-2 draw. I genuinely would believe any of those things. It's just one of those matches. Is Udogie still injured? He is. I love Bergvall. Really nice player. I really like him every time I watch him. I actually prefer him at the moment a little bit further up the pitch, more in the 10 role, but I think he's so good in midfield as well. So, yeah, really good player. Anyway, let's get to the United back three, because like I've said, We don't have to worry about protecting anyone. We ain't got to worry about fitness, apart from those literally injured. We've got a pretty free choice here. So let's start off with the middle centre-back. The centre-back. Realistically, every week it's Maguire or De Ligt. I feel like those two are the two options for this position at the moment. Euro in the long term might end up there, but I think right now it probably is just those two, I think. So let's do the poll. In the chat. Now, I hope Bruno plays as a 10 and not as an 8. This is something I was pointing out in my video, when was it? Yesterday, day before? Whenever it was. Looking at Amorim so far, one of my criticisms was that, and it's to be expected, he's at a new club, that we don't know the best position of several of our players yet. And annoyingly, it's some of our best, most important players. You know, what is Cobby's best role? Is he a central midfielder in his system, or is he an inside forward? Ahmad, where is he? Is he a wing back, or is he an inside forward? Not sure. Bruno, is he a central midfielder in a double pivot, or should he play a little bit further forward? Now, I don't think we have to restrict them to one position. I'm not saying that, like, immediately we've got to funnel them into one area. But it would be nice to have an idea. I'm interested to get your guys' thoughts on that. Perhaps we'll do a poll on that as well, just for something a little bit different. We might do a poll on what you think Bruno's best position is, not necessarily what position he should play this game. We might do that. Morning, Alex. Hope you're well, my friend. Hope you're well. Poll is currently going in De Ligt's favour. Of course, Maguire did score the winning goal last time out against Leicester in the Cup. That was not a great game. Pretty boring, particularly in the first half. I felt it livened up as the game went on. We got more attackers on the pitch, a bit more intensity. But in general, it wasn't the greatest match I've ever seen. I will be honest with you. Anyway, let's move these guys out of it. Anyway, let's keep an eye on the poll. By the way, guys, poll is in the chat. It's free to do. You just open the chat, open the poll, and press the option that you want. If it was me, who would I go for? Ooh, that's a good question. Normally, I would say Maguire. And mainly, actually, the reason I would say Maguire here is the long pass out to the wing back. I don't think De Ligt's quite as good as that. But I think if we actually look at the profile of the forwards that Spurs have got, maybe you do want more of a De Ligt who's just a little more agile. He's a little bit quicker over the first few yards. That's a tricky one. I think there's pluses and minuses to both of them. I want to see De Ligt in the team. Obviously, there is also the option that we go Maguire in the middle and De Ligt comes to the right. That is also an option as well. Given Solanke is injured, I think we can play De Ligt over Maguire, as I'm not too worried about the aerial duels. Yeah, obviously, even set pieces, Spurs aren't quite as threatening as some teams in the league, purely because of the lack of pure centre-backs at the back there, although the midfield is quite big, which makes up for it a little bit. We need our most athletic players today. Yeah, I think that's fair. Harry has a howler in him. He does. Maguire can do long balls better than De Ligt, which we will probably need. This is what I mean. I am actually very torn. Normally, I think Maguire's the better footballer, right? I think obviously De Ligt's got potential still. He needs to have a season under a settled coach for a start. But normally I prefer Maguire because I think that physical ability is huge. And the long pass is, for me, something which is really important. I think because we move the ball so slowly at times, having that longer option is nice. Because we get stuck round the back, having that ability to ping it over, go over the Spurs team, I think is quite useful for us. But at the same time, we do look at this Spurs team and think, it's quite an agile, it's quite a nippy, quite a tricky front three. So do you need De Ligt a little bit more? Not sure. Again, it is very possible that Maguire plays middle, De Ligt plays to the right as well. Expecting this game to be pure chaos. I think actually what this will be is a really nice measure of where we are at the moment under Amorim in terms of facing a team that we faced 2 months ago. It'll be interesting to see like the measure of progress. In fact, what I'll probably do after the game is go back and watch the last game again against Spurs to kind of gauge where we're at. Have we improved since then? Have we stalled since then? Have we regressed? Have we gone backwards? What have been the changes in approach? Are we playing players in different positions now? I think it will be an interesting one to just see where we're at. If suddenly we put out a really controlled performance, then you'd go, you know what, yeah, we're probably heading in the right direction. If this game isn't chaos, that's probably a good sign. Even though people will be a little bit annoyed at it potentially being slow, it might be a good sign of where we're at, because I think in time Amorim wants to be a manager that controls the ball, controls possession. So it would be a good sign if it's not chaotic. But also as fans, chaos is quite fun to watch. Tricky one. Go for Ahmad and Dorgu as the wingbacks, Rasmus and Garnacho 10s, Xerxes 9. Chido on the bench, I quite like that. Slaphead will play everyone onside as usual. Maguire is better at passing and winning aerials, that's it. Yeah, I think that's fair. Did my voice just like, what happened there? Not sure. The coach is simply not good enough. He has no plan B. He only knows his team has to play with 5 defenders and is still not solid enough. I think it's a little bit early to come to conclusions that a manager is or isn't good enough. It's been 20 matches. That's not that many. I think people will still be a little bit unsure of Postecoglou, right? And he's been at Spurs for a season and a half now. So I do think it's too early to go, he's good enough, he's not good enough. I think give it a little bit of time. Give him more time with the players, more time on the pitch. Then we'll reassess it. I do agree that I was expecting better, but partly because I thought the players would adapt a little bit quicker than what they have as well. There'll be goals in the first half. Honestly, that's music to my ears because first halves have been really boring recently. I do respect Maguire's work this season, but it does worry me once again that he is up against someone that can hurt an immobile defender. I mean, it's also the fact that Spurs might be quite sort of rotational. Son, even if he plays up front, will probably want to drift left at times, and Tell, if he starts on the left, will want to come inside. So there will be a lot of movements there. That doesn't suit Maguire. I mean, De Ligt's also not very good at this. He's not ideal in these situations, but he's better than Maguire, right? I actually think 20 is a lot of matches. It's way more than a pre-season, but let's see. Well, yeah, it's way more than a pre-season, but I wouldn't judge a manager after a pre-season either, right? I don't think you should judge any manager in his first year at a club, is my opinion, unless it's like glaringly bad. Unless there are clear, obvious things that are absolutely horrendous, I would always give it 12 months. Give him a transfer window, give him some of his players, then sort of assess it. 20 matches, yeah, we expect progress in 20. Has there been enough progress? No, probably not. But maybe it'll come with time. I don't know. I just think it's too early right now to go, nah, get him out. I think I either want Yoro or Mazraoui at left centre-back versus Kulusevski. That then decides who plays right centre-back. I would agree with that. I would agree with that as well. De Ligt is fast but not agile. Yeah, he's certainly not agile. He's more agile than Maguire, but still not agile as far as defenders go. He's definitely quicker though. Anyway, De Ligt has won that poll 52% to 48%. Although, as someone pointed out, in a way that's a good thing, right? The fact that the poll is so close, it's good to have that competition. Rather than this player is miles better and we don't really have a good enough backup, it is good to have competition in the squad. De Ligt has won the poll though. And I think that's a first in terms of recently. I feel like Maguire has often dominated those. So let's take Maguire out of the team, put De Ligt into the middle. I think the next conversation, we're going to go to the left. Because obviously we know we haven't got Lisandro Martinez anymore. So we're going to go Yoro, Mazraoui, Lindelof. Lindelof? Is Lindelof going to win the poll, guys? If you vote for Lindelof, then fair enough. Mazraoui in the poll. We need Yoro in the poll. And we need Lindelof. Should we put Johnny Evans in there as well? And I swear to God, guys, if you guys make Evans win this poll, I'm going to kick off. I might just end the stream there and then. There we go. The poll is now in the chat. Is it? There it is. Mazraoui, 100%. Personally, right? Me personally, I prefer Mazraoui on the right-hand side. I think I would start both of them, Mazraoui and Yoro, but I would go for Yoro on the left, Mazraoui on the right. I think we saw against Leicester, it just makes more sense. Isn't Evans unavailable? Yeah, he can still play, right? For the culture. Let's take Lindelof out for a second. I prefer it this way around. I think particularly if you then put a fullback, whether it be Dorgu or Dalot, at left wing back, it gives us the choice if we want to shift more to a back four at times. I think it gives us that option. Whereas when you go the other way around, right, let's put Mazraoui there, Yoro there, I don't think we get the choice as much. Although, depends on the profiles that we play. Who plays as the wing backs, I guess. Not sure. AJ, show the cap collection. To be honest, the room's a bit of a state right now because I can't actually explain why right now. But maybe you'll see the cap collection one day. There's a lot of them. Although for videos, I only wear this one, which is odd. Anyway, what's the poll then? Euro 49% of votes at the moment. Mazraoui 40. Johnny Evans has got 4%, so shout out him. I don't even know if he's fit or not. So congratulations, mate. Got to be Evans? Exactly. Maguire centre, De Ligt right, Euro left. Any United caps? I think I got one. Yeah, I think I got one United cap. Euro winning the poll at the moment, on the left. What do you think about Mount and when he will be available? How he is a key player for Amorim? I think Mason Mount changes the landscape of this team. I think, have I got him here? I haven't. He's one of the rare players at this club, which actually I think is nearly perfect for the inside forward position. I think it's the ideal role for him in any system. So I think if he can get himself fit, he can get in the team. I think he can be a huge player for us. But if he can't get fit, we say it all the time, the best ability is availability. If he's never available, he's not going to be anything, right? If he can't get fit, can't stay in the team, he's not even worth talking about. We done a stream back in January, I believe, right at the start, saying that basically we went through the team, keep or sell, what do we want to do with them? And the discussion for me from Mount, most people said sell. I said give him 6 months. If he can have a second half of the season where he's fit and available for us, keep him. Lovely. Great player. Such a good fit for this system. If he can't stay fit and isn't available for us in the second half of the season, I'd try to move him on in the summer. As of yet, he hasn't been available in the second half of the season. Hopefully that changes. I don't actually know when he's meant to come back. I don't actually know. If he doesn't come back, if he isn't fit, he isn't available, try sell him in the summer. Will anyone want him? I don't know. Who wants to sign an injury-prone player? So it's a bit of a tricky one. That signing, I still think there was so much value in that signing. I think he's such a good player. Particularly for this system, I think he can be perfect. He's such a good squad player. We overspent. He cost a lot of money. But on paper, I still liked it. But it's proven to be a bit of a disaster with all the injury problems. Look at Manu in the chat with a 7-month membership. What a boy, what a guy. Manu, thank you very much. Saying like and subscribe to the Sweet King. You're too kind, my friend. You're too kind. But guys, listen to him. Like and subscribe. Like now. Do it. Please. Thank you very much, Manu. And look at all the love hearts in the chat as well. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Thank you very much. AJ, can we win against Spurs? Considering it's an away game. Can we win against Spurs? Yeah, I think we can. I think we can. You should do merch, like sell a cap with your logo on. Hey, if I can get 10 people that want one, I'll do it. Mount is a hobnob that dipped in rich English tea. He falls apart. Yeah, his body, a bit like Shaw's, just lets him down. I still wouldn't put him fully in the Shaw category just yet, because Shaw, it's like injury problems for 10 years. Mount, it's been 2 seasons probably, so it's not quite the same. But it's becoming concerning. Anyway, in the poll, Yoro has won the vote for left centre-back. And I think that's going to decide the right centre-back position as well. Because if Yoro's here... Wait, he did win the poll, right? I feel like I made that up. No, okay, he did win the poll. If Yoro's here, I think it's going to be Mazraoui here. Because I don't see Maguire playing on the outside of the 3. I just don't think it will. Dallo, possibly. Possibly, but I don't think it really works. Do you want a poll here or not? Do you want a poll for Dallo Mazraoui, or should we just go Mazraoui? Let's just go Mazraoui, because we need to figure out the wing-backs. Actually, do we need to figure out the wing-backs, or should we go midfielders? Let's go wing-backs. Let's go wing-backs. Left side. Dorgu, the left wing-back saviour, who plays right wing-back, is an option. Dallo is an option. Ahmad is an option. And so is... Okay, no, that's it. Those are our options. Those are the options. Ahmad or... Actually, all 3 of them could play on the right. It could be all 3 of them on the right. And it could be these 2 on the left. What do we reckon? What do you reckon is going on here? Should we do a poll? Celebini with a picture of the cap on it? That could be good as well. Might have to happen. Might have to happen. Left wing back Dorgu. The stream's a couple of days early. Yeah, this isn't a team reaction. Did I label it as a team reaction? No, tactical preview. Yeah, this is a look ahead to the game. We will do a stream again on Sunday before the match, reacting to the team news. Lord help us if Dallo plays left wing back. I don't hate it as much as what a lot of people do, but every time I try and defend him, he then puts in a performance which just has you scratching your head. He's got everything to be a really proper useful player, hasn't he? And then he just has these moments where you think there's nothing up there. Absolutely nothing. He's weird player. Weird player. So much quality. Physically, technically, so much quality. But he never quite gives us what we think he can. Collier a shout at left wing back again as usual. Yeah, where is Collier? There he is. I'll put him into the conversation because I think he is one of the few players with the athleticism to be able to do it. Still feel it's coming sooner rather than later, especially if Dalot continues to struggle. I'm happy to put him in there as part of the conversation. Could you do it on the right, do you reckon, or not? Just more naturally bombing around, or do you think... You know what? With the recent role that Dalot's played, where he comes in here and like the inside forward then goes wide, Collier's not a horrible shout. Dallow's only good performance as left wing back was Liverpool. I think he's had glimpses in other games. There was another one. Which one was it? There was another match where I think he played pretty well. It's just that final action, isn't there, right? It's just that final action. I just think Kulusevski will have a field day if Dalot is on the left. Can't afford the brain fade moments. Yeah, that's the big thing. It was that in the Leicester game or was it the game before where that cross comes in from the far side and Dallow's defending the back post and he just ducks under it. It's moments like that where you just think, what are you doing? Like, actually, what are you doing? He should be so good, and he just completely switches off. Me personally, if you want my opinion, which you may not, I would go Dorgu left. Now, normally I would say Ahmad right, but if I want to be realistic, I think it would probably be Dalot. And Ahmad maybe goes a little bit further forward. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, I would probably go... Let's move Collier back out. I'd probably go with that. I think it will be Maguire over De Ligt, is my personal opinion, if I was, again, trying to predict the 11. But I don't mind the back three. I'm fine with that. I think it might be this way around. Which means, yeah, we're going to be dropping into that 5 again, which we tend to do quite a lot. But that should give us at least some numerical advantage. I think, for me, get a left footer on the left. I don't mind. I don't care where it is. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? I don't care. Try and find a left-footed player somewhere for the left-hand side. And to be honest, Dorgu's kind of the only option, right? Because we haven't got Lisandro Martinez. For the young centre-backs, it feels too early. And, I mean, unless we play Højlund over here, we don't really have another choice. So I would be going Dorgu on the left. There are drawbacks to a left-footed left wing-back, but there are also advantages, particularly in the final third, as he gets to this position. I think we spoke about the other week. The problem is sometimes when you're trying to receive the ball, it can be a little bit difficult if you are left-footed on the left. But I think Dorgu is the sort of player who uses the outside of his left quite well to come inside the pitch, which could be useful. He does this quite well. He sort of spins in like that. I think I'd go Dorgu. I think I'd go Dorgu on the left. Let Dalot get some rest. Normally, I would agree. I think Dalot is massively overplayed, and I think that does affect his performances. But we've had 9 days off, right? So I don't really think anyone needs a rest for this game. Can't believe we never saw Anthony there. Yeah, I mean, I never thought Anthony was going to play there and like make that his position, but I really thought we'd see it at some point. I'm surprised we didn't even see it like trialed at some point. Would it be too aggressive to play Xerxes as the right 10 and Ahmad at right wing back and Højlund up top? I actually don't think that would be too aggressive at all, mate. If we quickly... Yeah, let's quickly put that in, actually, because I quite like what you're saying in terms of how the shape can work. Let's quickly just go... Let's put Garnacho in there, for example. Let's put Bruno. Let's say Ugarte. This is what Alex has just suggested. So Xerxes is the right 10, Ahmad at right wing back, Højlund up top. I think it can work. I'm not normally a massive fan of Xerxes in this role, and perhaps I'll come back to that a little bit. But in terms of the idea of is this too aggressive, I don't think so. We saw against Leicester, it kind of ended up as a 4-4-2. And if you actually look at this team on paper real quick, under any different manager, you would call it a 4-4-2, right? Under Amorim, we would see this 11 and go 3-4-3. But, what was I going to say? But under Amorim, it's 3-4-3. Any other manager, you'd call it a 4-4-2. Because Mazraoui would go right back, De Ligt across, Yoro across, Dorgu deep, Garnacho left, Ahmad right. I think that can work. I do think that team can work. Again, yeah, like you said there, if we're talking about diamonds down certain sides of the pitch, there's some technical quality there on the right, isn't there? There's some, if we go there, there's some nice ability there. There is something there. I'm not typically a fan of Xerxes in the 10 because I'd prefer him to play higher. But Amarim with Sporting. Conrad Harder used to play as an inside forward, but he was very much a striker and would move a little bit higher. We did also see a game the other week. It's now completely escaped my mind as to which game it was. I can't remember. But I think, was it the one where Højlund and Xerxes both started on the bench perhaps? And then both came on. We actually saw Xerxes kind of went more central. And Højlund went more to the right-hand side. So that could work as well. Højlund might do better off the wing. Yeah, again, if we're talking about that sort of Conrad Harder role at Sporting, he could maybe do it. No centre-backs to wrestle out there. True. Anyway, let's quickly get back to the wing-back situation, and we'll come back to that stuff because I think there is a lot to discuss. So, let's do a poll for... we don't need one for left wing-back. You guys, I already know your answer. It's Dorgu, right? So we'll put Dorgu on the left. What we'll do for the right is we'll put Dalot and Ahmad. And what I just want to say is, I think today what we should try and do is, rather than doing what we want, I think we should give this an honest attempt at trying to actually predict the starting 11. Because we never get close. There was one a few weeks ago where we were about 3 players off, which isn't too bad. Or should we just scrap that? You know what, do what you want. I don't care. Get in the poll and pick one. Use whatever logic you want. Ignore everything I just said, basically, which in general is pretty good advice. Bruno right centre mid for the switches to Dorgu, and to have Ugarte Collier able to help out with Kulusevski. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. That's probably something that we don't, in our streams, actually talk about enough. Swapping midfielders. It's easy to go, these two are 2 central midfielders, these are our wing backs, whatever. We don't talk about that enough, do we? Which way round the midfielders play to look for things like that. To overload a certain opposition player, or, like I said, the Bruno long pass and something like that. In that case, it's Dalot. Yeah, I think the realistic option is Dalot. We always like an Ahmad shout as well, though, and I personally am always here for an Ahmad shout. Always. Dorgu at right back and Dalot at left back will never change. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. I think they've shared a pitch for 45 minutes in their entire life. So I think it would be quite... I think we'd be jumping quite quick there to come to a conclusion that it will always be the case. It would be Dorgu right wing back. I don't know that it necessarily will. I think what we're going to see with Dorgu, particularly this season, is a rotation between the two. I think we're going to see him sometimes over here, sometimes over here. This is a game where I would go for the left side. I would get him on the left. Because I think you can get at Porro on the outside. The other option is to maybe play someone like Garnacho who comes in a little bit more. Dalot who comes in a little bit more. And then get Garnacho at Porro, but just attack Porro, please. Please. You could put Ahmad in a centre-back poll and he'd still win it. Oh, yeah, we could do a poll for each position. I bet Ahmad would win every single one. Everyone loves him. It's nice, to be fair, to have a player that the fan base actually likes. Let's just hope we don't all turn on him in 4 years, but we'll see. Manu, you made it into a lineup. I'm proud of you, mate. I'm proud of you. Oh, you did. Look at you shining. I agree and hope you're right. Yeah, I think it will change between the two. Would you get him on the left, though? I personally would for this game. I think there is so much space on the outside of Spurs, because Spurs are quite a narrow team because their midfield can be quite open. What they often do, a lot of teams, we speak about this a lot, defend with a double pivot. What Spurs sometimes do, it was more common a little bit earlier in the season, they've changed it a little bit. But what they sometimes do is actually defend, that's wrong, let's do it like that. More with a solo pivot and 2 central midfielders ahead of them. And what that means is you get this space here and this space here. Nightmare for fullbacks in particular. You'd think that's more of a centre-back problem, right? That space there, but it's actually more of a fullback problem. Because let's go Dorgu's here and let's put Garnacho in here. And let's say we've got the ball in this position. You play across here. The striker's pinning the centre-back. Where do you go as Porro? Do you go tight to Garnacho or do you go wide to Dorgu? Those are the questions we need to ask. Those are the questions we need to ask in this game, which is why, personally, I like the idea of the outside threat. But, does Amarim want Garnacho outside all the time? In which case, perhaps we need someone different at left-back. Although Dorgu can come inside in moments. A little bit difficult. Amarim won't play Yoro and Dorgu on the same side before Dorgu settles in. Yeah, something to consider, to be fair. It's a good point. Do you think Amarim may look at the duels and then decide which side for Dorgu? And then in turn where Dallo and Ahmad play? Who's best to stop Spence? Who exploits Porro the best? That's a question that I would love to ask Amarim. I would love to know his thinking behind the wingbacks. Because obviously we've seen some games where Ahmad will play wingback. We've seen games where it will be Anthony has had minutes there. But then in other games it will be very much a fullback. I would love to know what his reason is when he makes those decisions. Obviously we always assume it's like, well, this team's more attacking, so we need the fullback. But is it as simple as that, or is it a little bit more in depth? Is it about what fullback threats the opposition have got? Is it about the opposition's wingers? Is it to do with who we've got at inside forward in front of them? I'd love to know the process that he goes through. If I could sit down and ask him one question, I think it would be that. In terms of, looking at those guys, who's best to stop Spence and Porro? I think Spence is actually quite a good player. I think he's making the new goalkeeper actually look quite good, because Kinski is seen as this ball-playing goalkeeper, right? And what he'll often do is sort of draw the press, and then he's going to clip the ball out to the fullback. Spence has this amazing ability at the moment. Hopefully this is the game where it goes wrong and he messes it up. But go back and watch Spence in the last 4 or 5 games. His ability to control a high ball with his chest is really, really impressive. Now, we're not talking like Fellaini level, right? Don't get me wrong. But he is getting Spurs out of a lot of problems, and he's making those around him look good because of that ability to control that pass. Just a random thing I've noticed recently. I've been really impressed by Spence. He's physically quite good. He's not a small player by any means. Quite broad, quite strong. He's quick, not absolutely rapid, but just all round. He's a nice solid player. I think he's really important for Spurs. He's done a really good job of sort of fitting into this team. Physically, is that a problem for Ahmad? Dallo may be more suited, because we know that Dallo he's got this engine, he's got this relentlessness to his game. Physically very good, possibly. For me, that question is now crucial if the wing-backs are being asked to progress the ball, carry if not pass, because the centre midfielders struggle. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Porro and Spence, I feel, are equally offensively inclined, Porro being more effective going forward, but Spence having the better recovery. Spurs, again, they've kind of reeled it in a little bit. Early in the season, these fullbacks were stupidly high up the pitch. Like, it was, sorry Postecoglou, mate, but it was naive. They were so high and there was so much space either side. And like I said, Porro actually physically isn't blessed with the physical traits to allow him to do that in a team that loses the ball so much. I think he'd be fine in a team which dominates and controls and everything, but in a team that loses the ball a lot and plays really high tempo football, he doesn't have the physical capacity to cover that space. Like you said, I think Spence does it a little bit more. I think he's got more ability to do this. Porro has been dropped a little bit deeper to try and sort of cover that, but it's still in his nature. He just wants to go forward at every opportunity. And Danzo, good centre-back, right? But he's playing in a new league, new club, and also I don't think he's great out wide. So I think if we can get Porro up the pitch, if we can draw that, I'd like to see us try and get at Danzo, because I'm not convinced by him in those positions at all. At all. Can we consider ball progression from phase 1 to phase 2? Because at times United's tactics are actually quite straightforward from the jump, and opposition can get the better of us. You're spot on. You say at times. I think, to be honest, it's all the time. I think it's a constant thing. We've actually seen several opposition players and managers come out after the games and go, we know how United are going to play, so we knew how to set up and we stopped them. The problem is, I don't think Amarim is going to change it. Not in this first season. I think he's probably more interested in almost the second phase, almost the basics of football, rather than the intricacies of the first phase. So we could talk about it, but I don't think it's going to change, to be honest. I just don't. Let me know if you agree. I think he's going to be quite stubborn on that front for now, almost just prioritising other things. Anyway, you guys have gone for Ahmad at wing-back, which I'm not mad about at all. I love Ahmad at wing-back. I don't know that I agree it's what Amarim will go for this match, but if he does, I'll be happy. I'm happy. I really like Spence. Noticed him when he was at Forest in the cup run. That cup run was amazing. Who they beat? They beat Arsenal. Who else did they beat? They beat someone else, and they got robbed against Liverpool with an offside goal from Jota. That was such a good Forest run. Loved it. That was a nice Forest team, by the way. Really nice. Really nice. Manu, that's a great question, my friend. And I'm only going to read this out because you are our starting central midfielder. Guys, we're getting 105 votes on a poll, but only 60 likes. That's just backwards. That's just backwards. Surely if you can press vote, you can press like. They're so close to each other, and the like button is there the whole stream. So, please like. Please. 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 Was it Leicester they beat? Yeah, it might have been, actually. I think you're right. Corey, good morning, my friend. Are you ready for this game? Are you ready for this match? If Spurs play the high line, surely Højlund has to play on the shoulder and look for the run in behind. I am waiting for Højlund to score the goal where he's here, right? He starts in this space. United rotate. Inside forward, or sometimes it's the wing back, depending on the start position. Comes across and drags like this. Højlund then spins into that space and scores on his left foot. This is his best channel. It's his best zone by an absolute mile. Get him into that position, I think he'll score goals. I've got 5 clips saved, just ready to go from 5 matches fairly recently where he has had this exact moment. We've had this exact kind of pattern happen. We just haven't quite had the final touch yet. I'm waiting for us to score from it because then I've got stuff that I can talk about. Scored a goal. It's a bit more difficult without Lisandro Martinez because he was actually the one 2 or 3 times supplying that pass. Perhaps it now needs to come from someone else. Maybe Bruno when he drops a little bit deeper. But you're right. Get him on the shoulder. Get him in behind. Get him in those positions. Get him in and around there. On that left foot. Across the goal. Make it happen. Anyway, central midfielders. Bruno. Ugarte. Eriksen. Casemiro. Kobe Mainoo. Toby Collier. Those are the options. Let's just move the forwards out for now so we don't overcrowd this. Sorry, Dallo, mate. You're not playing right forward. Not today. I don't like Mainoo playing left wing. Do you agree? I don't dislike it. I just don't think... I don't think it's his best position in the long run. I'm a little bit worried long term of his career that we move him into this forward position. It happens a lot in English football. You get these small, you're not even small, but you get these technical players. You're technical, go further up the pitch, mate, and go be technical in the box. I don't want us to do that too much with him because I think he can be so good deeper. A little bit concerned about that. Anyway, what do we reckon from these central midfielders? I think, again, we've had 9 days break here. There isn't a conversation about we need to rest Ugarte or this guy needs minutes. They're kind of all in the same boat. They're all probably ready to go. Who do we think is best for this match? Now, we're going to need some intensity. We're going to need some ground coverage. Players that can get about the pitch because this will have moments of being end-to-end. We're going to need, I would say, some element of press resistance. Because whilst the Spurs press has holes behind it, the actual front press is quite good, particularly against our back three. It's almost matched up quite nicely for them. So we're probably going to need a player who can sort of take the ball in those areas. But also, I think we're looking for a bit of long passing because we've lost some in defence with no Martinez or Maguire. So we probably need someone who can get on the ball and play longer as well. Those are some of the things to consider that. How do we go about doing this in a poll? Because there's 6 players. Tell you what, Bruno Fernandes is going to play. So what we're going to do, we'll put Fernandes into the poll first. And we'll put him as centre mid or IF, inside forward. He will play. He's Bruno Fernandes. He's going to play this match. So we'll start off with that, and then we'll go from there. So where would you play Bruno for this match? Deep in midfield or higher up? And then we'll go from there. Probably Bruno and Ugarte. Again, if I was a betting man, sort of predicting the team, that's what I would guess it will be. I don't know if I would do it. But I would guess that Amorim will. I would start Eriksen for this game. This Spurs midfield is physically very capable. I believe all of those 3 are 6 foot plus. It could be Basuma as well, who's not short either. Sarr, beautiful. Beautiful physicality. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. He's strong. He's got amazing stride length. He just drives through the middle of the pitch. He's a bit clumsy with fouls and stuff sometimes, but he's a really nice physical player. Bergvall bases his game all around, sort of technical elegance, but there's a power to him as well. Again, quite tall, quite strong, good stride. He sort of is able to knock people off him, sort of thing. When he's carrying the ball, people come towards him. He just gives them that little bit of a barge. So he's a strong player. And Bentancur, not the most athletically blessed or gifted, but he's still fairly tall, fairly strong. Same for Basuma. Not great at covering ground, but again, a tall player. So I'll be honest, Eriksen for me is a no. Maybe as an inside forward, we can have that conversation. But I think in here, I don't think Eriksen works, not for this game. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. Let me know what you reckon. Get rid of Casemiro. I think that will happen within 6 months, to be fair. Midfielders in the pivot need to improve key passing. Casemiro and Eriksen aren't seeing too much play. That is where Casemiro and Eriksen are frustrating, because realistically, technically, they are two of our best progressive midfielders. The passing range of those two is really good. They've got good vision. They move the ball forward well. The problem is the defensive side of the game, they just can't do it. They just can't do it. And Casemiro's temperament on the ball, I think this game could be chaotic. I don't think Cameron will want it to be. I think Casemiro would make it chaotic. So I don't see those two starting personally. Think, AJ, we are thinking wrong profiling. Eriksen outside, progressor. I get the point. The problem is this game could break into a basketball match at spells. I don't want Eriksen at the heart of that, personally. Maybe just me. Anyway, let's have a look at the poll. This is pretty close, but to be honest, I want to move on to the next conversation. So we're going to put Bruno Fernandes in central midfield and stop the poll there. Lovely stuff. Bruno Fernandes comes into midfield, which means we've got Ugarte, Eriksen, Casemiro, Collier, and Kobbie Mainoo for the other position. It's not going to be Eriksen and Bruno, I'll tell you that much for free. If I'm wrong, apologies. Is it going to be Casemiro? And no, I don't think so. Realistically, this is Ugarte. We can try and come up with something clever. Ugarte's playing, right? He will. So Collier comes out. Kobbie comes out for now, although he might come back a little bit further forward, not sure. That is where Eriksen thrives with passing over range. On the ball, I think Eriksen could be good in this game. Not in a deep phase. No. Spurs are too good at pressing. But in the moments where it sort of opens up, you've got the pitch ahead of you. Yeah, Eriksen's passing would be lovely. Lovely. I'd love to use that. The problem is, if it's an open game, it's open both ways. It's not just open and chaotic for one team. It will happen for both. So, can he then do the defensive side? And we just don't think he can, right? He can't. It's not even a think. He can't, unfortunately. Anyway, inside forwards. I don't mind this team so far, by the way. I don't mind this team at all. Inside forwards, Kobbie is in that list these days. I think, yeah, Eriksen probably is in that list. Garnacho. Højlund and Xerxes, I'll put them in and we'll kind of have a forwards discussion if you like. Now, I really hope I'm missing someone, but I'm not. It never fails to amaze me when I look at the front three, the options we've got here, and I see how little we've got. I get why we loaned Rashford and Antony out, right? They're probably both right now driving their prices up, getting into good form, and it's lovely. And they weren't working at United, and it looked like they'd got to a point where they didn't really have a future at this club. Fair. But, my days, it's bare without them. It is bare without them. And when we have the conversation about wing-backs, we talk about, we hate seeing Dalot. Why is Dalot playing every game? God damn it. Get Ahmad deeper. Problem is, you move Ahmad deeper. Now look at the front three. This is one of the reasons. People say it's Amorim just insanity. Same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But this is why we do see him in there. Because he is, out of those guys there, he is the most suited to the inside forward position. And Dalot can play wing back, which is why we do still see this. Bruno in 8 is a big no. I think we need to have that discussion between now and the end of the season. Figure out, it's probably a bit too early for it just yet, but figure out what we really feel is Bruno's best role. Again, we don't have to fix him and cement him to one position. He can be cover for both. But we do need to figure out, in an ideal world, what his best position is in this system. Because a few weeks ago, if I said Bruno midfield, everyone was all over it. Everyone absolutely loved it. Today, he wins a pole in central midfield, and people don't like it. It's up and down. It's always up and down. I mean, humans, right? Especially humans that like football. We tend to be slightly caveman-like. We are quite reactionary to certain things. Bruno plays 2 games well. Best midfielder I've ever seen. Bruno has 2 games where he loses the ball a lot. Worst midfielder I've ever seen. Get him back further up the pitch. Again, it's never quite as good as you think it is. It's never quite as bad as you think it is. Can Bruno play midfield? Yes. Can Bruno play here? Yes. Where do we prefer him? We need to figure that out by the end of the season, because that's going to help us really with figuring out what we do in the summer. We need to know what we need then. No matter where you place Bruno, he is still all over the place. I'm not sure if you mean that in as a compliment or an insult. All over the place as in positionally he's not very structured, or all over the place as in he works hard and covers a lot of ground. I'm not sure how you mean it. I'm not sure. Yeah, Manny, what happened? We all saw that first comment, mate. We all saw it. You may have deleted it, but we saw it, mate. Ahmad and Bruno both... what did I just say? Ahmad and Bruno both deeper is sad but necessary at the moment. Yeah, Steve, it kind of feels like you're right, to be honest. We kind of do need... We need that carrying ability here. We need the passing ability. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. If we move Bruno further forward, can we work with that? You know, do we think Kobe and Ugarte is ideal in this game? Because that's realistically the only other option for people that don't want Bruno deeper. If you want Bruno higher, can these two do this game? Because I don't think Collier will start, not realistically. Physically, I get a little bit worried about that battle, I'll be honest. But Kobe does have the press resistance to help out in the first phase. It's tough, it's tough, it's tough, it's tough. Ugarte is struggling with Bruno next to him. The problem is, right, Ugarte is a player who is based around, you know, working hard, getting stuck in. He's that sort of player, right? But he's actually not physically the strongest player you're ever going to see. He's actually, you know, he makes up for it with a lot of aggression and stuff. But he isn't actually the strongest guy you're ever going to see at the heart of midfield. And Bruno Fernandes, again, a player who works really hard, battles a lot, gets stuck in, but again, not actually physically very strong. And, you know, Manu's probably going to clown me for talking about this because, you know, I'm always talking about needing physicality. But you do. You really, really do. And no matter what combination you come up with in here, there isn't enough physicality. Nowhere near enough. You can put Casemiro in here. You'll go, okay, he's strong, but he can't move particularly well. Eriksen physically offers very little. Kobe, I think, is relatively strong in the duel, but not a physical machine, and also doesn't cover ground that well. We need a midfielder so badly. So badly. Glenn, good morning, my friend. How you doing? How you doing? Anyway, let's move Bruno deeper quick. Sander Berge would have been really nice. I really like the idea of him as a cheaper backup signing. I actually really like the idea of it. I've been a fan of him for a long, long time. I think he's taken longer to adapt than what I thought he would. Or not even adapt, sorry, to like kind of start fulfilling his potential. I thought he would do it a bit earlier in his career. But finally being given the opportunity, he looks good. He looks good. Collier, yeah, Collier is the one who physically is of the level we need. He is. He's physically better than all of them. He's better than Ugarte, he's better than Bruno, than Mainu, all of them. But I don't think Amorim will play him. Don't think he will. I don't think he will. Anyway, we need some inside forwards here. How do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? Let's go inside forwards. I've typed that wrong already, which is quite impressive. Let's go Garnacho. And we've got Ahmad at wing back. So Garnacho and Mainu. Could be Garnacho, Eriksen, or Eriksen, Mainu. Is that right? Yeah, because I don't think Xerxes would start there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Poll up. Let me know what you think. Thinking inside forward, wing back as a combo mate, I think we go one step further than that, to be fair. It's not just this duo. For me, it's, well, we've got too many players here. For me, it's this diamond more than this duo. I think the four are very important. How Bruno, or how the left central midfielder plays, affects how the left wing back plays, which affects how the left forward plays. Our left central midfielder is affected by how the left centre back plays. It's not these two. It's not these two. It's these lot. Then it's this lot. Then it's this lot. It's more than just partners and pairings. I think it's all of them. All of them. Need dribbly boys and inside forward? Yes, please. Yes, please. I want a dribbly boy in the summer, mate. That's what we need. Anyway, what's the poll saying? Garnacho and Manu on 82%. That's kind of how I thought this would go, to be fair. Does it work with... What it does give us, right, let's take the strikers out for a sec. It does give us, as Chad has just said there, a dribbly boy on both sides. Because Dorgu, whilst he is left-footed and hopefully is going to offer us a lot on the overlap and things, he can come inside the pitch as well. He does like a carry inside. And Garnacho can then go on the outside, which gives us that dribbling option. But also then on the right, you've got Ahmad can dribble. My only concern would be lack of rotation down this side. Here we're talking about, you know, movements to get into different positions. Down here, can Kobe drift wide so Ahmad can go inside? I'm not convinced. Could you have a rotation where Mazraoui comes round? Possibly, but I don't think Amorim is going to do that at the moment because we haven't seen it yet. I wonder if this right side gets a little bit stuck with this inside forward profiling, but we're limited. We are limited. I think we need to go for the Spurs backline. I really want United. This, for me, is one of those games. Get after them. I say it every game, to be fair, but get after them. Ask them questions. Make them think. Make them try and deal with United, rather than always the other way around. Anyway, we quickly need a striker debate. We need a striker debate. I feel like early in the season, this was quite an emotional conversation, quite a passionate conversation, right? When we were talking about strikers, that people were, you know, people had their ideas on who they preferred, and people were scrapping and really going for it. I feel like now everyone's just like, just pick one. Just pick one, I don't really mind which one it is. But what do you guys think? Højlund or Xerxes? Xerxes, to be fair, I thought looked really good when he came on against Leicester. But that seems to be the case every time, right? That one of them starts, plays poorly. The other one has a good 20 minutes. And then the other way around. And it's just every time. Partially why I think you have the creative midfielder on the right and the engine on the left. It does make sense, again, especially dealing with the likes of Kulusevski and Sarr. Bruno Bergvall would be an interesting little sort of kind of battle going on there, little 1v1. Yeah, sorry, I should have put the goalkeeping coach on. You are right, Bruno does give you that a little bit more because he can go round, he can go in here. Him and Kobe could swap. That makes a lot of sense, actually, to be fair, Matt. Having, if Kobe is to play as an inside forward in this game, having Bruno the same side as him, makes sense because there's that natural rotation between the two where one drops, the other goes a little bit higher. So I quite like that idea. The Danish connection with Dorgu and Højlund will feed families? I hope so. I hope so. By the way, not that the striker situation is kind of split at the moment, but it's literally 50-50. After 50 votes. That kind of sums up where we are up front at the moment. Like the stream, you fools, says Chad. And honestly, I agree with him. I think if Garnacho starts on the bench, Højlund starts up top. But if Garnacho starts, so does Xerxes. Thinking about chemistry. Let me just... So Garnacho... So it's Garnacho or Højlund, essentially, is what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, I got you. I mean... I probably would go Xerxes... regardless. I think he can drop in there, and he does give you that Garnacho run, but also the wing-back run, maybe. The sort of underlap. When Garnacho picks the ball up out here, Dorgu drives in there, Xerxes comes in. I think it confuses Spurs a little bit. Honestly, I think we're getting close to actually a team which I don't mind here. I think we're getting it. Obi Martin deserves a debut. I think I might do a video on him later this afternoon. I don't know if anyone's done one yet. I've been away from like United social media for the last few days, so I don't actually know if anyone's already done a video. And if they have, what sort of video it was. But I might do one, just looking at his recent performances, see where he's at. Is he ready to start for United? Probably not quite would be my guess, but I need to watch him. Yeah, if I'm Danzo, I don't want those rotations going on. As I said, Garnacho peels wide. Dorgu comes in. Dorgu coming in also, as he goes on that run, it takes Kulusevski. So if we start like this, and Garnacho peels wide, it's quite difficult to actually get the ball to him. But as Dorgu makes that run, Kulusevski comes with. It does give us easy access to Garnacho. And Porro can't actually immediately jump to Garnacho there, because he's going to have Dorgu running off the back of him, particularly if Dorgu's aggressive. That's when we can have that license to then carry and actually gain some territory. So that could work quite nicely. And again, obviously Xerxes going in also sort of complements that. So Dorgu's going past, Xerxes in. I quite like it. We do lack a bit of directness down the right, particularly with Ahmad deeper. But we know what we're going to get from him. He's going to take players on still, so he's going to progress like that. And like Matt has said, can we get Bruno going down this side with Cobby, interchanging? That might be the way to do it. It might be the way to do it. I honestly quite like that team. I quite like that team. It's not perfect, right? In terms of in 18 months, if it's this, I'll be very, very sad. But for right now, where we're at, quite like it. No more votes. What's the poll saying? 54% for Xerxes. You know what? I'll give it one more minute. I'll give it one more minute and we'll close the poll because it is a close one. I don't mind this team at all. It lacks physicality. Of course it does. Manchester United. Yeah, that's what we do. We lack physicality. I would probably expect Maguire to still be in the team, to be honest. I think he'll play. Maybe I'm wrong. The goal scoring side of Højlund isn't what's bothering me. It's his lack of ability to hold the ball up and link play or just control the ball. Yeah, it's those little... He'll receive like a 6-yard pass and he's springing off him like 15 yards. I don't know what's going on with him. I really don't. I think there is... This is where it's a little bit difficult. A lot of people want a video on Højlund and the problems, and I do want to look at that. I'm really tempted to do a stream on it, in fact, because I think there's so much to talk about. But at the same time, I do feel that a lot of it is psychological. I think there's a big psychological thing with Højlund, overthinking it, not being confident. They kind of go hand in hand a little bit. Plus not really playing to his strengths at the moment as well. I feel sorry for him, and it's why it's a little bit difficult. It's a little bit difficult to do a video on it because I can only talk about, he's lacking confidence. I can only say that so much, right? So maybe a stream on Højlund might be the solution. Because like Manu has said there, not that long ago, Højlund's first touch was alright. It's never been perfect. But he was getting better at the hold-up play at one point. He was starting to get somewhere. We were going, yeah, nice. But it's just gone the other way now. Chad, I agree, mate. I agree. Xerxes is not making that clinical run inside, let's be honest. No, I think Xerxes realistically is more about coming towards the ball, getting players past him. To be fair, Mainu is actually quite good at those runs off the ball. I've been quite impressed. Anytime he's played further forward, his movement is really active. He is one of those players who wants to sort of like drift and roam, go in behind, come towards the ball. That could also work with Xerxes, even though on paper you wouldn't look at him and go, he's a runner. He actually sort of has been recently with his movement. So, yeah, that could work quite nicely. Højlund is a lethal channel runner, but that's not happening enough. Yeah, there's got to be a way to get him there more. There's got to be a way. Realistically, you would assume if we can improve in the first phase and the second phase, almost naturally, it will get better for the forwards. But it's just getting there, right? We don't get there consistently in games. We don't get to those positions regularly. We still look best, actually, on the rare occasion where we win a second ball and then spring quickly. But that doesn't happen that often. So the striker situation frustrates me a lot. I don't think either of them are doing enough. But I also don't think either of them are in a nice environment at all. I think they're kind of set up for failure a little bit. Højlund has just overtaken Xerxes. I was not expecting that. The lack of service argument is massively overblown in my opinion. Almost every other striker I watch does far more to help the team overall. So it's no wonder we don't get the ball in the right areas. It's a difficult one because the lack of service is a huge issue in this team. It is. You can't deny it. But I also do agree. I think both can be right. I think you can agree they aren't getting enough, but you can also agree they're not doing enough. That's why it's difficult. When people go, what's wrong with Højlund? I don't think it's that simple. I think there's a psychological thing going on. I think there's a team thing going on. I think there's an individual ability thing going on. There's so many different pieces, which is why maybe a stream. Maybe a stream rather than a 10-minute video. Let's actually figure it out. If it takes 2 hours, it takes 2 hours. Dorgu is too new to be switching position with Garnacho when attacking. I understand the fear of that, but I don't think it would stop Amorim trying it. And also, Dorgu actually played that role quite a lot at Lecce. He'd go into that underlapping position, so I think he'll be all right there. I think he'd be all right. Anyway, okay, the poll's 50-50. I'm going to wait for one more vote to swing it. How is it 101 votes, 50-50? That doesn't make sense. The second this poll swings one way or the other, I'm going to close the poll. So if you haven't voted yet, and you have an opinion on who should play up front, okay, it's now saying 103 50-50. YouTube maths for you. There we go, Bosh. It's gone one way. Let me end it. Let me end the poll. There we go. Did we do it in time? We did. Xerxes 50%, Højlund 49%, apparently. Anyway, that is the team that we have come up with. Is it a dream team? Not quite. But I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. I think you got the ball progression in the back three is a little bit concerned, and I think there's pressure on Mazraoui in that aspect. Yeah, Chad is so broken, mate. I don't understand it. I think we've got an okay team there. I think that's okay. We've got dribbling threat on both sides with Ahmed and Garnacho. We've got those players that can retain the ball in the pockets with Kobe and with Xerxes. We've got two-way threat down this side. We can go both ways. Down the right, we haven't got it quite as much. I think there would be a focus on Ahmad really delivering. But he has got players around him that are good for combinations. So that could work. There's ground coverage in midfield, or certainly intensity, although a slight lack of physicality. Where the goals come from, a little bit concerning when you play Ahmad deeper. Are these two going to bring us the goals we need? Not sure. Physically, how do I think we match up? I think we're a little bit worse than them in midfield. We're better than them up here. Really interesting matchup. I think realistically what we've got here is this. The team in 13th against the team in 14th. Yeah, that's what we've got. That's what we've got. So you only expect so much, right? It can beat Spurs, but it could also lose 3-0. Yeah, that's what I said right at the start. This is one of those matches. If you've come back from the future and told me we've won 3-0, I believe you. You told me we lost 3-0, I believe you. You say we drew 2-2, I believe you. I think any of those results are so possible. How close was the final 11 to what I came up with? Not far off. I had Maguire, Dallo in the team, and Højlund. This was my predicted, though, rather than what I would do. This was what I was anticipating. Is this a decider? Yes, a real 6-pointer, mate. A real 6-pointer. You know, in the battle for 12th, these games are big. Let's get off the league table. It's quite sad. It's quite sad. Anyway, is there anything else to discuss regarding this match? If not, we'll wrap up there. What I want to try and do next week is try and do a couple more streams. I think we still only play once next week, but I'd like to try and do a couple more streams on some different topics, because we haven't been streaming very regularly recently, partly because there hasn't been the conversations there to have. I want to try and come up with something. So if you've got any ideas for a stream next week, let me know in the Discord server, which is linked at the top of the chat. Shout out David for that. But if not, I think for today, I'll discuss Plymouth. We should do that. Liverpool lost. Haha. Plymouth won. Haha, Josh. Hold that. Insane how relatively little coverage Forest are getting for this madness. Apologies for the doggos. Yeah, Forest are so good to watch, by the way. They park the bus, they play horrible football, and they hit you on the break. And it's beautiful to watch. It's really fun. Quick, direct, target forward, ball carrying midfielders. Can you hear that dog barking, by the way? That's not a bark. What is that noise? If I was Højlund when I hold the ball, but in the final third, no one assists me, I will have less motivation to hold on to the ball next time. Yeah, also, you make a lot of runs and don't get the ball. It's annoying, right? Yeah. More Dorgu stuff? I might do a Dorgu video. Left wing back, right wing back. Where should he play? Why can he do both? What should he do for certain games? I might do a video on that. I think for today's stream, though, we've finished there. I think we are finished there. Even the dogs are angry when you talk about that scum. Josh, I love how much you've rattled the Discord, by the way. It's quality. You have a doggo? Yeah, there's 2 doggos. Pair of wingbacks for you right there. They're currently going mental, so I think I need to go sort that out. So thank you guys very much for watching the stream. Hope you have enjoyed it. I will see you on Sunday for another stream. There will be a video at some point today, a video Saturday and a video Sunday. So there's content coming. I need to go sort out these dogs which appear to be on crack. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed the stream. And as always, I'll catch you guys